A snapshot. Ollie sold me the cigarettes I asked for. I wanted to show Robbie how brave and independent I could be. I bought 2 packs and a disposable lighter, then went back to the shop. My balls were big. I called Shan minutes before noon. I asked her if she'd like to see a movie and have dinner with me in Waterloo that night. "What about Robbie?" she asked. "Robbie's fine," I answered. How's your mom?" "Fine," Shan said. "What are you talking about?" "I thought you were just making small talk about other townsfolk we know," I said. "I mean, are we all 3 hanging out tonight?" "This isn't about Robbie. I was planning on just me and you having a date, Shan. Johnny told me he'd drive us and everything." Johnny McKeon wouldn't mind if Shan and I sat together in the back seat for the drive. It was long, straight road to Waterloo. I thought of having sex with Shan in the car while her stepfather drove us to Waterloo. It made me very horny. Then the shop's front door opened. A family of tourists, a man, woman, and their identically clothed, identical twin boys, who looked to be about 6 years old and undoubtedly had identically stinky feet, as Robbie would confirm, came in and began their expedition along Johnny's path of wonder and despair. They marched through the maze in parade fashion. The mother up front regulated the speed. She stopped from time to time to admire a cow creamer or an iron trivet shaped like a squashed rooster. She pulled out drawers on dressers in nightstands. She wasn't going to find any condoms. A couple drawers still had Bibles in them. The twin boys followed, shoulder to shoulder, holding hands. If they got a little closer to each other, they would look just like the boy in the jar Johnny McKeon kept inside the office. The father held up the rest of the parade. He had a canvas satchel, a man purse, Robbie and I called them, strapped diagonally across his shoulder. They definitely were not from Iowa, I thought. Maybe Minneapolis. It wasn't unusual for tourists to stop from attic to cellar on Saturdays. The family was probably on their way to the ocean and found themselves trapped in the center of an enormous continent. They may have been looking for postcards, so they could mail out desperate messages like, "Send help now," and "That was our day." You know what I mean. But Johnny McKeon did not sell postcards from attic to cellar consignment store. He did, however, sell condoms at Tipsy Cricket Liquors. I think most of the condoms he sold ended up stuck to the floor of the Ealing Coin Wash laundrette, or in dresser drawers and nightstands that I cleaned out when the owners lost homes and hope. And that is an economic snapshot of the United States of America and a dying Iowa town. "It would be so nice to go out on a date. Just you and me, Austin," Shan said. "It's not like we never do that, Shan," I explained. The family snaked their way closer to me at the counter. Along the way, the mother picked up some objects. "I know," Shan said, "but it's, well, different now, don't you think?" My heart beat faster. "Oh, I said, yes." I didn't know what she meant. I suddenly felt guilty again, like Shan knew everything. "I love you, Austin," Shan said. And then I got it. I understood. I was relieved and stupid at the same time. "I love you, Shan." I did not say to, but I was fully clothed anyway. "Did I tell you I am alone at the shop? Johnny needed to go to Waterloo to pick up some things. There are customers here." I elbowed the 2 packs of cigarettes I stacked on the glass case above my favorite insect collection. "Austin?" "What?" "The ticking noise is happening again," she said. She sounded a little frightened. It was exactly noon. "Let me hear it." She had held her phone up to the wall. She described the sound perfectly. typing. There's nothing else I could think of when I heard it, but the typing noise stopped in a matter of seconds. It was exactly noon. 10 hours into the end of the world. Nobody knew anything about it. Haggled. I will pay $5 for the snow globe from Iowa City, this corkscrew, and the porcelain corn cobs, salt and pepper shakers. Mom, the drum major at the head of the tourist parade, placed her spoils on the top of the counter beside my cigarettes. The two-headed boy with 4 arms and legs pressed its noses against the face of the glass case and left dual unpointed exclamation marks in the center clear snot directly in front of the bug collections. Dad, at the rear, slid his hand down into his purse and extracted a billfold. Johnny McKeon haggled with customers. Price tags in stores such as from attic to cellar may just as well have been written in fill-in-the-blank forms as far as most shoppers were concerned. Johnny knew what to do. I did not. I said again. Well, she asked. She thought I was stupid. I knew the look. $5. I'm only taking care of the counter for my girlfriend's dad, I said. I suddenly felt virile, capable of breeding, horny. The twins frightened me, though. Their noses pointed upward on the glass, distorting into 2 peaked snot volcanoes. My job included keeping the glasses clean. I am not permitted to haggle, I pointed out. Pfft. The mother, obviously used to getting her way, was exasperated. She had to do the math. Nobody likes math. I took the items and tallied up the prices, and the silent husband thumbed through bills. $11.50, I said. I increased the price by $1 just because I could, and because I was going to have to clean up a pair of snot streaks left behind by the Friendship League of Minnesota. The man paid what I asked. I bagged my for sale. The man with the purse asked, "Is this Ealing?" I know. A lot of people just can't believe they've finally arrived when they get to Ealing, I said. But this is it. This is it, the man said. He pulled a small, glossy guidebook from his purse and continued, Ealing, Iowa. 7 unsolved decapitations in 1969. He proudly held up his book so I could see the cover. It read, Serial Killer America. We're on a road trip. The man with the purse twittered like a gleeful bird. Pardon me. The twins snarfled and snotted against the glass. Cross another one off the list, the mother decided. And she added, Please be careful with my corn cobs. I needed a cigarette. The boy in the glass. I stood outside in the parking lot and smoked. I watched the traffic of people who came and went at the Pancake House, the Laundrette, Tipsy Cricket Liquors, and across the street at Satan's Pizza, too. At 12:45, I phoned Robbie. I lit another cigarette. I was in charge. Robbie was impressed, maybe jealous, that I was alone and having a cigarette without him. He was still in his bed when I called. I heard him light one up over the phone as we talked, so Robbie and I had a cigarette together by cell phone. It's good to have a cigarette with your best friend. I told him everything that happened, the history of the morning, even about the snot-faced twin kids from Minneapolis who smeared up the glass and how I overcharged them $1 just because I didn't like them. He'd asked if I'd gone back into the alley at Grasshopper Jungle. I said, no, I wasn't going to go back there. Everything seemed okay. It was just another Saturday afternoon in Ealing, Iowa. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something impossibly huge had happened in the past 24 hours. Maybe that's just the omniscience of the recorder who looks back on history as he's painting the walls of his cave. Shit like that. There is a blissful haze that quietly flies into your head like a swarm of anesthetized butterflies after you smoke a couple fags. Buzzing from nicotine, I went back inside from attic to cellar consignment store, wandered my way along the parade route of Johnny McKean's display maze, and found myself standing once again in front of Johnny's locked office door. Johnny McKean obviously didn't really care to hide the things he kept inside his office. Maybe they were an embarrassment. Maybe he just didn't know what to do with the things that once belonged to his dead brother. I thought I might ask Johnny about that if he ever showed me his experiments. I wanted to know why. As my fingers felt along the groove of the molding, I thought about what I would do with Eric's things if he ever came home again. I would probably keep them in my room and not let anyone else look at them. I understood Johnny McKean. The key was still there, where Johnny always hid it. I went inside his office. Johnny McKean did not say anything about the missing globe to the policeman who came out that morning. If he had, he'd have to have shown them the rest of the things inside the office. Johnny would not want to do that. There were smears on the old library shelf where Tyler's fingers had tracked through the dust at the base of the globe. He didn't even bother to take the stand. It was still there, still announcing the contained MI plague strain 412E, not so much contained any longer. That was the first time I'd considered the possibility that maybe those 4 boys were going to end up getting sick. But I figured all that shit was from 1969, according to the dates on the labels. Nothing incurable ever came from 1969. The Beatles and the Stones came from 1969. And like Johnny McKean said, it was only photoluminescent mold after all. The 2-headed boy, although hardly bigger than a cantaloupe, was older than me. I talked to him. You're nearing middle-aged, my man. You must be tired of being inside that jar. I put my face close to the glass, resting my chin on the shelf so I could look directly into the little dark sockets of the boy's eyes. I placed my palm on the cool curve of the glass. The boy inside twitched. The movement was so slight, just a jittering spasm of the fingers, but I saw it. I snapped my hand away from the glass and took a step back. I bumped into Johnny McKean's desk so hard that it felt like I ripped a hole in my jeans. Okay. That's enough. Sleep tight.